expect the wing to be ready?
Yes.
In about 10 minutes. But it'll be ready maybe in a few more days. Everybody's working really hard. Everybody's a grinder except Nathan. He gets to steer, but even Percy and the tacticians, everybody has to be super fit. And if one volunteer, that's possible. Do you want a quick go?
Sure.
So a really sophisticated arm grinder. So what I was going to get you to do, there's a little bit of easy to start with. That's fine, that's a little bit. 10 seconds. Okay, you might have to fill in a moment. Nice,
Well done.
it's a tag team event. 5, 4, 3, just with 10 seconds. 2, where you go. So we know first we need about 1,200 watts. Nice break. Okay, that's fine.
These current races, you're grinding 80% of the race. Did I get that right?
Yeah, probably. You
Rewind to when you won the cutback, you know, in the version 5 boats. What percentage would you be grinding then?
I think it's grind, to be honest. In those days, it was hoisting the main. So now we've got the crane to do that. So that's quite good. One down.
This is called Cayard, that clear material. The white material that we use is called Dytex. The other teams use Cayard all the way, but they're painted, you know, like Team New Zealand has all the red. They're colored Cayard. The bottom now of everybody's wings is clear.
Yeah, one thing for us with that is that because we've gone from Dytex to Cayard, we've had to add additional frames because the Cayard stretches a lot more. So that's added time in getting it fixed. So as part of the safety recommendations, we've got to put more ribs in it to make it work. So you can see the bottom wing here has got a few more ribs in it. If you look at the white one, they're a lot further spaced apart.
We're just putting the E2s together, so all the control arms, and then we'll put it to the main element and put most of the wing together today, and yeah, just sign off on a few more jobs, and yeah, it's all going well.
This is where we maintain and work on the platforms themselves. We've got various shops around the building, machine shops, hydraulic shops, rigging shops. A lot of it's still containerized because we were in operation in Valencia before we came here. You can see our boards here. We've got another set of boards coming. And
They're just behind it. Oh, just showed up today.
Perfect. It just showed up today?
Good. Yep, in my classy looking boat.
The other guys are all on wheels, aren't they?
Everyone's on wheels, yeah. Yeah, Oracle started off with a tiller as well,
Yeah,
and quickly got rid of it when they were foiling because at that kind of speed, the loads go through your hands.
So we have a lot going on here, more than just what people might be thinking outside our shed. We're busting our butts to be as useful and productive as we can, so that when we hit the water and Nathan and Ian and Loic take over with the boat, that the boat's that much more advanced than it otherwise would be. I mean, we're going to try to launch a brand new boat with a brand new wing in July, San Francisco. That foil. Yeah, that foil. That's a tall order for any team, but these guys, you know, Nathan and Loic, are the most experienced guys. I mean, I'll put my hand up and say, you know, we're really lucky on Artemis to have this talent here. Maybe we're better suited than any other team to take it on in that short a period of time.
At the beginning, didn't imagine that we were supposed to foil, and that's a big problem because we have no modern system to know where exactly. Let's, like Paul say, it could be a bit easier if you push on one button and you know that it could be, let's say, half a degree. And this afternoon, Nat or myself, we will simulate some jives and tacks with the wheel, and some guys here pumping all the time, and that's quite interesting to see.
To answer the question, someone said we change the rudder. You know, one interesting thing, and I wrote about this the other day, is that we had 4 rudders that we made for boat 2 sets, and they were all rule compliant as of the rules, you know, when we made them, and certainly before May 22nd. And when the whole safety recommendations came out, we were told that they would be rules, and in good faith, we began a 6-week process to make safety rule compliant elevators. So we cannibalized one of our 2 sets to do that, and we still don't have them. They're coming, I hope, in a week or so. And so now we're in a situation where we have the safety rule compliant rudders coming, and we have here in the house now class rule compliant rudders.
You know, it's obvious, you know, we need to be quite realistic about it. You know, we're going to have the least amount of training on probably one of the hardest boats in the world to sail. And personally, I've watched every team sail at least 30 days on all of their boats. So you get a good understanding on how to learn how to sail. And when I was learning how to sail a Moth, which is, you know, an extremely difficult boat to sail, I learnt watching YouTube. I'd go sailing, I'd come in, I'd watch YouTube, I go, okay, that's what they're doing, and you learn from that. So, you know, I've done a lot of studying of how the other teams sail, and, you know, there's a lot of bar chat, and I've got friends in other teams, and they're, you know, they're helpful. Everyone is trying to help us get out there and go sailing, and they all know we're going to be a bit off the pace initially, but if we can get the boat in the water in a couple of weeks and go sailing, and if we can test the structures, get the boat foiling, and then start to do our maneuvers, then we're going to be in a position where we can then head out to the city front and do the racing. But until we get confidence in the boat and our own ability on the boat, we don't want to risk anyone else's safety. So we're going to be out early in the morning training when we get the boat. We're going to get it foiling. We're going to just see how we go. You know, it's too hard to say we're definitely racing, but as Paul said, anything can happen. And one thing I'm learning about the America's Cup is it's never over. There's always a little spin, you know, someone changes what's about to happen. And we're just, you know, chipping away. You can see how hard everyone's working in the shed. And we owe it to Torbjorn to be there, you know, as soon as we can. So, you know, I think we're very realistic about our chances. You know, you have to put, you know, a pretty good pecking order of Team New Zealand, Prado, and then us as the underdog and the unknown at the moment. And as soon as we get our chance, you know, we'll know, and you guys will know as well. But until then, until we get the boat in the water, it's impossible to say how we're going to go.
Great answer. So you have the boat in the water in a couple of weeks, say, and that's still a reasonable time before the semi-finals, isn't it?
Exactly. You know, we've got the boat here. It's going to go through structural testing next week. We're going to flip it upside down. We've got to tick all these boxes. So, you know, at the moment we're halfway through ticking the boxes. Once you see it in the water and we get the wing on it and we go through all the loads on that, then it's the sailing team's turn to get on the water and go sailing. So, you know, we're going to have some time. I can assure you I'd like a lot more time than what we're going to get. And, you know, as soon as we get our chance, you know, we'll get a good indication after a few days of sailing of how it went. I think for us, what's quite positive is that we had our 45, we turned it into a foiling boat, and on the first day it foiled out of the boxes and we did almost 30 knots with really nice control and stability. So what we've learned from that, we've implemented onto this boat, and we've done some refining in the 45 and then kept refining the 72. So I'm quite confident if it passes all the tests when we get out there, I think we'll be looking okay.
And if you pass the test, then comes the mental state of all your team.
Exactly.
But here they are, they're working and making a huge contribution in this amazing facility.
It is, and it's incredible. Like, I've only been in this team since October, and to see how hard all these guys work, you know, as a sailor involved in Olympic classes, I do a lot of the work on the boat myself, and to see these guys, you know, coming in and giving you a pat on the back after you've gone sailing, and you see them here till 10 o'clock at night, back here at 7 in the morning, and they just want to see this boat sailing. And you know, if we can get the boat out there and, you know, get a start in the Louis Vuitton, that's going to be a huge achievement for our team from where we are at the moment.
Once you launch the boat, you have a rough idea how long it will take you to be confident and start racing?
It's hard to say. You know, we've got some confidence from the first boat, from the foiling boat. You know, you'd have to say we're going to need, you know, 5, 6, 7 days to go through the basic stuff. But the way I kind of see it is it's not so much how many days, it's about how productive you can be in those days. What can you achieve? You know, we need to be able to get the boat sailing upwind, obviously, learning how the wing works. Well, it's pretty simple. It's like the other wing, so that's almost a tick. We need to be able to do the foiling barroways. We need to be able to foil nicely on the reach, foil on the downwinds. If we can do those maneuvers, like those straight lines, then we move into trying to do a foil jump, trying to do a foiling roundup. And, you know, on the 45, I'd say after 10 days of sailing the 45, we were good to go. So on the 72, we're hoping what we've learned from the foiling 45 we can implement. And it's tough to say how many days it's going to take, but obviously the lighter the wind is, the sooner we're going to be able to race. In 8 to 10 knots, I think the boat should be quite manageable. If we're out there on 20 knots on day 5, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a bit on. So, the lighter the wind is, the sooner you'll see us racing. And hopefully, by the time we get to August, we'll be able to get around in 15, 18 knots quite comfortably. But it's pretty hard to say at this point.
How do you feel when you hear that one syndicate that has a boat may or may not go sailing, yet you want to go sailing and your boat's not ready?
That's a great question.
What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I sat in the press conference yesterday and watched, and I was thinking to myself, here we are as a team busting to go sailing. All we want to do is to compete in this America's Cup. I've joined this America's Cup thinking what a great concept they're trying to achieve. It's pretty obvious that they overstepped the mark with the equipment. It's a little bit outrageous for the venue, but I think the concept is great. I think what they're trying to do is awesome, and our whole sailing team, our whole team in general, just wants to be out there and go racing, and we've got an issue and we can't get there. And then you see other teams who are really ready to go, they've got boats, and then they're refusing to go racing. It just is a little strange, and if they could give us their boat, I'm sure we'd be happy to go racing tomorrow.
Okay.
What was your response to, I know you spoke a little bit about the whole jury thing, but the big picture of just that very good question from Bernie and the big picture of where we're at with the standoff with Lunar Racer?
Well, Nathan's answer was great. Of course, our perspective is we find it hard to believe somebody wouldn't sail given the opportunity, because we so much want to sail and we're working so hard to do that. So we find it a little hard to understand, but it's not really our choice or issue. So the big issue here we'll have a jury hearing on next week. It's it's about two teams wanting to cherry pick 2 rules out of a package which is designed to improve the safety of the entire fleet. The boats are not identical. This is not a one design fleet. The committee, which was a broad committee including Jim Farmer of Team New Zealand, was the only team representative on the committee, but we all allowed that because of his great expertise and experience, came up with a package of 37 safety recommendations. In good faith and in belief and trust, we endorsed that, and we still do. And we have built elevators that comply, and we still have a set of elevators that comply with the class rule previous to May 22nd. So we can do one or the other. But removing some rules and keeping other rules creates a third permutation, which we're not ready, we can't comply with, and we're hopeful and pretty sure reason will prevail in all this. But
can it be simply distilled down though to safety versus performance and the issues this whole thing's over?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Team New Zealand's concerned really not about us, but about Oracle, and that the rule change could be useful to Oracle. But I've done some analysis of that performance delta, and it's in the 0.00 of a knot range. And when you got boats going 41 knots, I will say, and I haven't sailed a foiling 72 one day in my life, but that's not going to make the difference in this America's Cup. They're talking about 150 millimeters of rudder position difference and fore and aft, and we've done the analysis on that, and I have the data for Monday's meeting, and it's like on the order of 7 newtons of load. So it's just minuscule. And but they're bringing it to the jury, so we'll see.
Last question: the worst case scenario, if those cherry-picked rules, as you say, if Luna Rossa, their protest is upheld, what will you do?
I can just say that if the other 35 requirements remain, which is the draft requirement and the 0.32 square meters, and yet the class rule has to be respected, Artemis will be precluded from racing.